Welcome to Simply Robotics, the podcast, a podcast exploring the animation industry one episode at a time. I'm your host, Monique. You can find me on all social media platforms at Simply Robotics. That is SIMPLYROBOTIX. When listening to the show, remember to use the hashtag Simply Robotics Pod to join in on the conversation. Welcome back. I know twice in 1 month. I told you 2020, it's more episodes of the show. I'm doing bi weekly episodes all year. That's my goal. That's my intention. If I got to pre record weeks and whatever, how far in advance, I'm doing this. We are doing this. First, I want to say thank you for all of the positive feedback with my last episode, featuring Waymond and Bria of the Black and Animated podcast. It was just a really fun episode. I know you guys heard that. I got some, nice comments back. It was fun. Like, love them. Can't wait to meet them in real life, like I said on the last episode. And I want many, many good things for them. And speaking of wanting good things for people, Hair Love, the Kickstarter that I backed a couple years ago, won an Oscar for a Best Animated Short Film. I am so deeply excited. Now, it played in front of the Angry Birds 2 movie. So I didn't see it in theaters because I wasn't really moved to spend money to see Angry Birds 2. And I said, well, I don't know how I'm going to see Hair Love when I don't want to see the movie it's playing in front of, right? But right now, which is my favorite time of the year, there's a movie theater here in New York City called IFC, and they are actually playing all of the Oscar nominated shorts. This is including live action documentaries and animated shorts. So after I record this episode's coming up. Well, it's being recorded pretty close to the release date. After I record the episode, I will be getting ready to head into Manhattan and finally get to see Hair Love on the big screen. And also, I don't think I saw any other of the short films that were nominated, so that was my bad. Depending on how long this episode runs, I may come back and pop in and just tell y'all what I think about the other short films. And I'm not sure yet because I also want to be able to make sure I can get this episode on time. But I'm rambling, yes. So with Hair Love winning an Oscar, a short film with black main characters, I'm not even saying protagonist, antagonist, doesn't matter. These are black characters winning an Oscar, and the creators are black, the producers, black woman. And it's just so much people of color and specifically black people working on this thing. I was like, look at Black History Month. Isn't this great? Isn't this a great moment for us, right? It was said that Matthew Cherry is now the second black athlete to win an Oscar for animated short, with the first one being Kobe Bryant. Nope, that did not happen by the time I released the episode. Okay. It has been a minute since I recorded, huh? Yeah. So Kobe Bryant, RIP to him, his daughter, and the other passengers that were on that helicopter, I believe, or the vehicle that they were transporting in. RIP to them. He was the first sports player to win an Oscar for an animated short. Was that 2016-ish, I believe, or yeah, I think so, something like that. So anywho, so now it's Matthew Cherry, and black men, they're holding it down, they're doing a great job, but it's definitely time. The women, the black men have cracked the ceiling, the women are gonna break through, and I cannot wait. And I also hope that I'm a part of the team that does that. I would love to work with a black female director who I would anticipate is a humble being and would be excellent to work with and to learn from and grow and all that stuff. But I've been rambling long enough, right? The point of this episode, y'all saw the title. So with all this goodness, I thought that actually it would be a good idea to kind of have, not kind of, but to have an episode that focus a bit about black characters in animation. So it's not really going to be a history episode. I'm not going to go all the way back and talk about cartoons of well, racist cartoons that were based on minstrel performances back in the day, and like how black characters have evolved in their depiction from then to, being superheroes like X-Men and Static Shock, and then having nerd characters like Fillmore, or who else was a nerd? Well, there's a lot of secondary black characters that are nerds, like in is it like does Danny Phantom has one, Very Odd Parents has one, Kim Possible has another, all that sort of stuff. Like it's not maybe that's just so much work to put together something like that when those videos are really out there on YouTube. Um if y'all really want to hear me do like a history lesson on black characters, I guess I could take some time to put one together. Maybe for next year's Black History Month, I could do that with my little break after Christmas and Kwanzaa. But for right now, I came across this YouTube video called How to Black, an analysis of black cartoon characters, that this guy named Tariq, oh, let me get his full YouTube social media name is, it is Tunerific Tariq. And he has this YouTube channel where he talks about cartoons and all sorts of stuff like that. So when I came across this video, I said, oh, it actually would be great to kind of recap this video, verbally share this video with y'all. As always, I'm going to have links to everything that I talk about in this episode in the description notes, so you can go back and check those things out. If you want to pause the episode, watch the video, come back so you can be more in tune with what I'm talking about, you can do so. But I'm also going to do my best to cover it. Like, I watched this video and I took notes, so it's going to be pretty thorough. So first, he shared that he decided to make this video based on another video that he saw. So I actually had to pause his video, watch the video that he was talking about to see how we got there. So the video was on this YouTube channel called The Roundtable, and their video was, "Is Cartoon Network's Craig of the Creek Pandering?" And I said, wow, this is a nice title for a YouTube video. And the video was like 5 minutes, and I was like, okay, let me hear this guy out. The narrator for this video, his name is Kevin Williams. He's also known as Awestruck Vox on Twitter and Instagram. So in short, he says that Craig of the Creek is not pandering because it has a black-led character, and the show was created by two white men, Matt Burnett and Ben Levin, who were the writers on Steven Universe. He says that just because this show has white writers and creators and they make a black character doesn't mean they're trying to pull in the black audience and all sorts of stuff like that. To a certain extent, it's like yes and no, because why is Craig of the Creek black in the first place? And he says that there's really no reason for Craig to be black, but that's okay to have black-led characters and also have black people working in the industry and they not be hand in hand with each other. And I do agree with that. So moving on to Tariq's video, he starts off by explaining or expanding upon what Kevin said and just adding to it that just because a character is black, it doesn't mean that them being black needs to be a plot element or a device that is used to tell the story. And I think we've all seen, I would want to say more like social media stuff, like not posts, but like people do social media animations. So have you, I know you saw it, they're a little bit like clickbaity, and they create stuff which is so heavy-handed that so much blackness, Africanist, stuff like that. And it's like, we get it, this character is black, we see them that they're black, we also hear the way that they speak. Obviously it's not we don't need to lay on the, oh my gosh, I'm saying ebonics, but it's really the vernacular, the African American or Black American, because you can be black and not African American. We don't need to lay those vernaculars on thick, is there a real reason for this character to be black or not? And it's also just fine. He also called out the hairstyles of black characters, specifically black male characters, and I just thought it was funny because it's true. They usually have flat tops, afros, or they're bald regardless of their age. And it's just clear that does no one know how to do a Caesar or a fade? There's different hairstyles that black people, black men and black women weird. And y'all limit us to like the same kind of hairstyles, like, oh, like Afro puffs for women, or they would have straight hair, or it's like, for instance, if you ever saw some of the art exploration that went into Princess of the Frog for Princess Tiana, her hair was like so beautiful and so appealing. And for me, I really saw myself in her with some of that artwork. But then when you came to the final film, her hair is basically straightened, and it's like, why? Y'all have characters, white characters, who have various textures hair, but when it comes to the black character or characters, and this is not solely for Disney, y'all kind of just fall in line to whatever our hair was doing like in the 70s. And I appreciated that. Some examples he pointed out was AJ from The Fairly Odd Parents, bald. Johnny from Ed, and Eddie, he's the one that was like, had plank or whatever, bald. Fillmore, also bald. So like, what is the deal with like, that type of thing? I believe Wade from Kim Possible, he has like a little textured hairish thing going on, but also most of them, well, not except for Johnny, they're like also like super, super smart. Like there's like distinct character tropes for black characters, regardless of if they're a primary or a secondary character. It's like they're really, really smart, or they're really, really cool. Hey, Gerald and what's Vincent from Recess, like, they fall into that. Or you have Miranda from As Told by Ginger, who's like a mean girl, and you kind of have like, or you have the perfect angel like Susie. Like we still need a bit more actually just like representation of black characters just being kind of regular. So he also goes on to say, like, what if Fry from Futurama was black? Would that change anything about the show? And honestly, it wouldn't. Fry could have been Asian. The way Futurama works, though, is I feel like, well, we already know Futurama had that one Jamaican guy that I can't remember, and the Asian girl. But with the Jamaican guy, they did play up his Jamaicanness. So I almost wonder, though I don't think Fry would have really been a different character had he been a different race. Just based on the way that the show worked, I definitely think that they would have played up his race regardless. Like if he was Hispanic, if he was black, if he was like Asian or Indian, they would have played that up for sure. So with that being said, I want to just play this clip real quick of Tyler, the Creator, talking about black characters in animation, or the lack of.
My question is, sorry, it doesn't really relate to the show, but he was wondering, why is Cornell black now?
Okay, hold the f***
That's a
up.
good question.
Sorry.
That's why we should have started with that.
It's not your fault. It was like, why you make them black? Why can't have anything, man? No, don't clap. Hold on. How many fucking black cartoon characters is it on TV right now? I name 5. I'll give you time.
Cartoon characters? Wait, cartoon characters or characters in general?
Cartoon.
I only know like.
It is
Cleveland
none.
and his family
It is
pretty
none. They
much.
canceled Static Shock. Nobody remember Fillmore. It's like, we don't got shit. The only other black character is this weird ass. Oh no, they killed Chef off South Park.
Oh yeah.
So we don't have shit. So I said, that. We about to make this black, and he ain't got no guns. He ain't shoot no basketball, and he a goober, and we gonna put him on TV. And he's the lead character. He ain't the comic relief. He ain't the sidekick. He the lead. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
So, I mean, I know there was a lot of bleeps, but Tyler had a point there. There's just like, you can't name 5 black characters, animated cartoon characters on TV right now. Unfortunately, you can't. I feel like back in the early to mid 90s, we had a bit more. And unfortunately, over time, it's just dwindled for various reasons. So with that, Tariq also noted that there are more male black characters than female characters, and even included this interview that Cree Summer did with Great Big Stories YouTube channel, where she talked about basically being the only voice of black female characters. This is another really short one, so I'm just going to insert this clip right here.
I know for Susie, one of the most important things was that she sound smart and that she's very well spoken, because there were not a lot of brown girls in cartoons. As a matter of fact, there still aren't.
Beyond all this, Cree is unique for another reason. Historically, white voice actors generally did the voices for cartoon characters of all races. Cree has thrived in a space that has often overlooked people who look like her.
Ow, come on!
again, boys. I just put on some mothballs.
What if some talent agent comes along and says I have... I mean, let's face it, I do the voices of all the brown girls, and all the animated brown girls. There still ain't that many. Because there's this really crazy belief that black girls don't watch cartoons, and that we don't collect comics, and that we don't like sci-fi. And that's BS, man. We love it.
Now, what I thought was pretty moving about what Cree Summer said was like that they, I'm using air quotations, which you can't see, don't believe that black girls like read comics or watch cartoons or like sci-fi and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, I remember when what was it, Vixen was coming out, and there was that talk about like girls don't watch superhero shows and all that sort of stuff, so all these things are constantly gauged towards boys. And then when you start getting into race, they're like, well, black girls definitely don't like this stuff. And so we're even, and I can only like imagine for the other races too, you know, pushed to the back burner of like who things are created for. And it's actually really unfortunate when you think about the fact that Cree Summer has voiced most of the black girls, because I'm sure that there are other black women that are trying to break into voice acting, but everyone just defaults to Cree Summer instead of trying to discover new talent. I'm not even saying the next Cree Summer. No, we don't want one person voicing all of the black female characters. We want multiple voices voicing multiple characters, you know, and that means multiple characters have to be created. Black female lead characters are so far and few in between that it's not even comparable to the black male characters. Like their ages for black female characters are so like spread out on the spectrum. You have very, very young, like Susie Carmichael from Rugrats and Doc McStuffins from her own TV show. And then you have someone much older like Storm from X-Men or like Garnet from Steven Universe, even though Garnet, like, I'm pretty sure she's like super old in terms of like years, but she's significantly older than Susie. Like, you know, like they're not both playing in the sandbox type of thing. Like we have a very minimal middle ground. Like again, I think of Miranda from As Told by Ginger, and I guess if you want to count Homegirl from Totally Spies, I can't remember her name, but there's also was someone else, I can't remember her name either, from Totally Drama Island. But you see the problem I'm talking about? Like I can't remember anybody's name, which is partially my fault, but partially like, okay, but look how I have to like reach to try and think of people where we can name off black male characters. We can say Static Shock, we can say Fillmore again, we can say Craig of the Creek. Who else can we say? Well, I always revert to like Spike from X-Men Evolution. He wasn't a lead character. You have Wayne Head. If anyone watched Seabear and Jamal, like that was a thing. Whoever was Danny Phantom's black friend, Vincent from Recess, Gerald from Hey Arnold. Like we can go on with black male characters if we just sat down and really took the time. But female characters, you can't do that. Now, Tariq also asks, like, what's more racist? Making random characters black because you can, or only making characters black because race is a part of the story? And I'm not sure if either is actually racist. However, the exclusion of black creatives in the process, not saying that this has happened with these shows in particular, but I'm just saying, though, like, if black creatives are not a part of this process, like, okay, the creators for Craig of the Creek, they are white. I know for a fact from Twitter that some of the writers are black, and I'm sure that helps to add some authenticity to the show. I also know from Craig of the Creek, because they're active on Twitter, that some of the character designers and like people that storyboard are black on the show. So that's cool. So that's what I'm saying. Like we cannot I'm saying we, but it's not me. Like I'm not doing the excluding. But if people are creating shows with characters that aren't their race, I strongly believe that whatever race or gender or any sort of stuff like that those characters are, those people who share those experiences need to be a part of the creative team. They need to be in the writing rooms. They need to be in the storyboard rooms. They need to be helping authenticate the voice of these characters and the experiences and the stories that we see. So getting down to the wire of his video, he mentions two shows, The Proud Family, that were created by Bruce Smith, who also created Baby's Kids, you know, for us 90s kids, and The Boondocks, which was created by Aaron McGruder. For those of you who were born in the 90s but really raised in the 2000s type of ordeal, but I hope y'all saw Baby's Kids. But moving forward, Proud Family did a great job at avoiding the black people do this and the white people do that. That's word for word what Tariq said. Yet they also had moments that they celebrated blackness and acknowledged race within their episodes, such as the Kwanzaa special and their episode about segregation, which I remember thinking was pretty cool and also pretty like forward, because you just don't see that. I can't imagine like a show with white characters actually having addressed segregation, because I'm going to keep it moving. The last takeaway I have from Tariq's video was how he referred to the Boondocks as being a love letter to black culture. He said that it's a literal mirror of the complexities of black culture, as well as being a critique to every element in black culture. And I couldn't agree with more. Though I haven't watched the Boondocks since its prime, like I'm pretty sure I watched it in real time as it came out, and when it was done, like I was done too. Like, it's not the show that I go back and watch. However, I'm not against it, I just haven't. But I truly feel that it did highlight a lot of the good within the black community, but it definitely highlighted our flaws, which is essential. And it has its own pace, and I think it also always deserves to be included in conversation. So that was that. I have the link to Kevin's video and Tariq's video in the episode description, as well as their social media platforms, so you can follow them. I have followed them, and I'm looking forward to seeing, more that they have to say. The part 2 of this episode, our second topic, is I just wanted to have a moment, because this is my show and whatever, to just talk about my feelings with the success of Hair Love, like for real, and how I feel about being black, working in animation industry, and my hopes and goals and dreams for like moving up or what have you. I had a friend recently ask me like, okay, like I know like, you're doing this job where you're like an assistant, but like what do you actually want to do? Like what's your end goal? So first with Hair Love, I remember seeing it on probably Twitter like years ago, and I was reading up on Matthew Cherry and how he was a former like NFL player and now he's doing this. And to be completely honest, at first I was like, everybody wants to do animation and, they're just kind of, they don't know the craft. And not to say that they don't respect the craft, but I'm just like, people who don't know animation just want to do stuff because I don't know if they feel like it'll be easy money or they can get the notoriety super quickly and easily. And I was just like, it's like kind of like not fair for people, not even solely like myself that went to school, but people who are like really passionate, whether you went to school or not, about the animation industry, that don't get a chance or end up having to bail on this dream because like finances, or they have to be realistic or what have you. And then you have celebrities constantly being like, well, I'm making a movie, I'm making a short, I'm making a thing. And it's like, bro, why don't you like pour in and support and help uplift people that's here trying to make a thing, right? But I still donated to the Kickstarter anyway because I thought it was super cute. And I've been keeping up to date with my emails, and I've been really, really impressed. I've been in awe. I'm like grateful for what it has achieved, because it's not easy launching a crowdfunding campaign. Animation is very, very expensive. And obviously, he was able to meet the right people to help bring his idea to life. And that helps him get the connections that he needs to get this thing where it ended up being, right? And I feel like there's a lot of indie people such as myself who are creating things and doing things, and it just shows that like, okay, so we may not have the name or the context that he even had at the time that he started, right? But we work hard, we'll put out good content, we'll be our true and authentic selves, and people are already believing in us and supporting in us, that when we start putting the work out there, people are going to gravitate to it. And now people will want to invest and contribute to more things like Hair Love, because you don't know how far it can go. And it's proof that it can go really, really far if you like work hard at it. And you can't always work hard at it. I know some stuff is chance, some stuff is connections, it's who you know and who knows you. But I just feel like, man, the sky was never a limit for me. Like, if you know me, you know that like I'm a big dreamer and I go after everything all the time that I want, and I get it and I achieve it. I buckle down and I have like tunnel vision, which can be interpreted various ways. I understand that. I just have something that's been in my heart since forever, and I'm going after it. And Hair Love was just beautiful and just like so inspiring to witness. Like I'm doing these things, you know. So I also wanted to talk. There's a couple people I wanted to talk about. Everett Downing. Everett Downing was a co-director on Hair Love. He is also the creator of a comic, Book of Mojo, and has been working on creating a trailer pilot short for it as well. I met him in about 2014, which was now 6 years ago, which is crazy. I believe that's probably the last time I saw him too, when I was out in California. I was connected to him by a schoolmate at SVA. His name is Montague Ruffin. He's an animator at Pixar. He's Black. You can check him out. You know, Pixar has been doing this like Black History Month thing where they've been highlighting people, Black people that work at Pixar, and I believe worked on the upcoming film Soul. So they've highlighted Montague, and they've also highlighted Frank Abney. Frank Abney worked on Everett's Book of Mojo, and he also has his own short film called Canvas that I also contributed to, and I can't wait for that to come out. So to bring this all full circle, I met Everett back in about 2014. Unofficially or like digitally, remotely, whatever. And I was helping out with the social media for Book of Mojo, as well as working as like a remote assistant. And then I helped him at CTN when he was tabling, and it was just really great. And I have to talk about Everett because Everett gave me my first like break into the industry. He helped me land my job at Blue Sky, his recommendation, and him just, you know, giving me the experience, even though I was remotely, to like assist him on his production and how to like coordinate things and reach out to people and updating. And I was, you know, rallying our New York team and things like that. So it was like really cool and really appreciated. At the time I met Everett, I know that there was like a lot of layoffs and shifts happening in the animation industry over there on the West Coast. So he, to my understanding, was in a transitional space, and that's also what propelled him to make the leap on, you know, taking Book of Mojo further. So for him to work on this short film that went from Kickstarter to Oscar winner, I just felt like, man, you deserve this. Like, you just deserve this. You're an OG in the game, you know, and his project is like next. His project is so cool. Like, go to the Instagram. It's like this Black like preteen girl who ends up having powers, and you know, I love mystical stuff. So I know that he has to be so inspired by this to just understand that his project can be next. And when I was working with Everett, we did do a crowdfunding campaign, and unfortunately we did not meet the goal. And I know that was sad. I know that was hard because so many people were intrigued by this project, and I really, really hope, Everett, that you go for it again, you know, full steam again, you know, take some time, you know, after Hair Love, be with your family and all that sort of stuff. But like, the world needs Book of Mojo. Like, you have something special there. And I hope that you know that you did it once, you can do it again. You could do it 300,000 times if you wanted to, you know. I also want to point out that I've seen this talk on Twitter before about Black men in animation not really supporting or uplifting or helping Black women in the industry the same way that they help other Black men in the industry. And I understood where the sentiment was coming from. We often see Black men pull other Black men up with them in the animation industry, and we don't see that, let's just say, as publicly on social media when it comes to Black men pulling Black women up with them, you know, for those starting out and what have you. But I can say that hands down, Everett is not one of those men. Everett has really supported Black women and women of color trying to break into the industry, just getting started, giving us opportunities, giving us feedback, like being a mentor figure, you know, being like an older brother, older uncle type of deal. Like, I want to say uncle, like honestly not. He's more like an older cousin type of deal, and just like, you know, being available to us and willing to help us. And he's one of those Black people that Black men that you don't have to shout and declare everything that you're doing. It's like when people record themselves doing deeds for like homeless people or something like that, it's like you don't always have to do that. So it's easier to call that out when you're not seeing it, but that doesn't mean that it's not happening. But I feel like it's important to note that like Everett is not one of those type of men, and I just really appreciate him and want all the good things for him. Moving forward, the producer for Hair Love is a Black woman named Karen Tolliver. So I just want to read this excerpt from the Animation World Network article just to give y'all a little bit of background information about her. Sony Pictures Animation has announced the promotion of Karen Tolliver to the role of Executive Vice President of Creative. Tolliver, who joined the studio in 2017 as Senior Vice President of Creative Development, will be responsible for the creative supervision of a number of upcoming features for the studio, from inception to script and through production. She will also be in charge of recruiting key storytelling talent and discovering and acquiring new creative material and intellectual property aligned with Sony Pictures Animation's vision, including original concepts, books, comics, video games, shorts, websites, and toys. Prior to joining Sony Pictures Animation, the production and development veteran spent 10 years at Fox Animation, where she supervised the production of the Rio film franchise and the latest 3 Ice Age movies. And she also spearheaded the Oscar-nominated feature film Ferdinand. So again, Karen was at Fox Animation for 10 years. I worked at Blue Sky Studios, which was in the umbrella of Fox Animation. I used to see Karen often while at work at Blue Sky. She would come for like her meetings and stuff like that. And I always remember being like, who is that woman? As she walked by my cube to like various directors' offices and to meetings and, you know, all the stuff that she had to do. I've never actually seen a Black woman in a position that high before in the animation industry with my own eyes. So I was like, whoa. Like, you know, and she had her natural hair, and, you know, me, I always had my natural hair and curly hair and all this sort of stuff like that. And I really like saw myself in her, but I also like didn't really know who she was. I just know that she was very important, and like, you know, she was just an important person. I'm doing hand gestures. Y'all can't see that. So to learn more about her through this Hair Love journey to like her winning an Oscar, I just hope that she's been told how inspiring that she is. And it is like, she's exactly who I want to be. I'm hoping I'm on the direction of, you know, moving up eventually with time to that position. That's what I want to do. I want to be helping projects and advocating for projects just the same way that she has for helping like creators and creatives get their things made. So who knows? Maybe one day I'll have her on the show and she can talk to me like about her journey and stuff. Maybe I'll get to meet her for real one day and I'll be like, hi, I'm Monique. I worked at Blue Sky and I was there with Ferdinand and I saw you all the time, whatever, being a nerd. But anything's possible. It's just nice to finally feel like I have somewhat of a visual target of a Black woman doing what I want to do. I just feel great. So it's been a while. I'm not going to recap all the animation news that's been happening since the last time I did animation news. I got like list a little few things. Obviously, as we already talked about, Hair Love won the Oscar for Best Animated Short. Also, a film that I had covered during my Christmas Hanukkah Wanzika, Klaus, won a BAFTA for Best Animated Feature Film. If you're unfamiliar, BAFTA stands for the British Academy of Film and Television Arts. It's basically the British Oscars. Sonic just came out this weekend, and it surprised us all. Sonic the Hedgehog has the biggest opening weekend for a video game movie with 57 million. Paramount's Sonic the Hedgehog won the domestic box office with an estimated 57 million, and it's anticipated to get 68 million by Monday. The movie performed higher than the studio's projection of 40 million, and I believe the budget was like 97-ish million. So who knows, in the next couple of weeks they can at least make their budget back. Also, a little bit of sad news is the voice of Mikey from Recess, the voice actor, Jason Davis. He has passed away at the age of 35, which I feel like now that I've entered my 30s, I'm like, 35? That's just, it's still so young. Like, I feel, how long will we saying young is just so young? I don't know. I didn't really look into what his causes could have been. And he will be missed, but he will definitely not be forgotten. Mikey is an amazing character on The Recess, man. He's an amazing character. So with that being said, thank you for listening. I know this episode was like a little bit, race heavy, but what can I do? I am who I am. There was no guests, but next month we can look forward to, I will be releasing some Diverse Tunes panel audio next month. And I also have a guest. So I probably won't be checking back in until April, now that I think about it. But thank you. Thank you again. You can find me on all social media platforms at Simply Robotics, SIMPLYROBOTIX. You can find out everything about me. You can follow my blog posts. You can sign up for my newsletter, all that sort of stuff on simplyrobotics.com. Please, I know y'all listen on your iPhones, okay? Anchor tells me the details. I would love to, just start highlighting some reviews of the podcast. So if you want to use the hashtag to do so, I do check that. I would love to just start sharing them with other people. You can also leave a review on the iTunes, the podcast app on your iPhone, rate, all that sort of stuff. That's it. It's time for me to go. So I hope you all just enjoy the rest of your day, the week. Happy Black History Month, all that good stuff. Bye.